Homelessness is an emotive word that conjures up images of people sleeping on the sidewalk, scavenging for food, smelly and scruffy, or the drunk, dangerous, and dirty. Apart from these common negative stereotypes, there is really no clear understanding of who a homeless person is or what constitutes homelessness. We have all seen at least one homeless person, whether sitting in a busy market begging for spare change, sleeping on 5-foot ways, or knocking on windows to ask for money. The sight of them may trigger some emotions, but the minute we pass them, they are out of sight, out of mind. In Malaysia, the most densely populated city is the country's capital, Kuala Lumpur, with approximately 8 million people in 2020. Kuala Lumpur is a booming metropolis, having achieved its status as an alpha city since 2008. It is also ranked 12th in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business indicator. While rapid urbanization and economic development have raised overall living standards, it is important to recognize that urbanization is an ongoing process that yields unequal distributional outcomes in society, such as homelessness in Malaysia. Homelessness is a form of urban poverty and can be identified whenever people are forced to live in informal settlements under subpar living conditions due to sudden changes in their living circumstances.
Duduk di rumah, stay at home. Itu perintah yang dikeluarkan oleh kerajaan kepada seluruh rakyat negara ini dalam usaha mengekang penularan wabak COVID-19.
Namun, terfikirkah kita bagaimana nasib gelandangan yang selama ini tiada tempat tinggal? Juliana Syarin yang menjejaki golongan ini di ibu kota ada laporannya.
Seterusnya, dalam awal ini 745 mengenai isu gelandangan di ibu negara di Kuala Lumpur, yang umum tahu bukan satu perkara baru, dan kajian dapati kebanyakannya merupakan gelandangan sementara dan hanya sebahagian kecil merupakan gelandangan tegar. Dan setakat ini, statistik menunjukkan terdapat lebih 13,000 golongan gelandangan di sekitar ibu negara menerima bantuan makanan daripada individu maupun NGO setiap bulan.
A fact lesser known amongst locals is that 90% of the homeless community are Malaysian citizens, not foreigners. The top reasons for homelessness in Malaysia include unemployment, low income, and domestic violence. Contrary to common perception, the majority of the homeless in Malaysia are members of the workforce who do not have access to a sustainable source of income to afford a place to live. Moreover, the homeless community is often targeted by employers seeking to exploit them by paying them below minimum wage. In other words, the homeless are victims of their circumstances and do not live on the streets by choice.
Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur (DBKL) kini dalam proses merangka program yang lebih tersusun bagi memudahkan pengurusan dari segi pengagihan makanan kepada gelandangan oleh badan bukan kerajaan, NGO atau individu. Ia berikutan sistem pengagihan makanan sedia ada dilihat tidak lagi sesuai untuk dilaksanakan di pusat bandaraya.
Based on a study conducted by Kuala Lumpur City Hall, DBKL, the most recent figure of homelessness in Kuala Lumpur stood at around 1,500 to 2,000 as of February 2016, a substantial increase from 600 in 2014. There are many factors which contribute to homelessness, according to a survey done by Department of Social Welfare, JKM, in 2010. The top 3 factors are unemployment, poor and low incomes, and old age without family members. Another survey conducted on the homeless in 2014 showed that common reasons leading to such circumstance are unemployment, debt, and chronic illnesses. Other factors listed include domestic abuse, addiction, depression, personal trauma, discrimination, and lack of affordable housing or transportation. But sadly, the common perception of the homeless is negative. They are addicts or they are too lazy to find jobs, but they should not be generalized in such a way. Some might have no other option but to ask for support. Past research reveals that there has not been extensive research about homelessness in Kuala Lumpur or Malaysia as a whole. Because of this, there are no policies or guidelines on homelessness, so the homeless are likely to be excluded from proper benefits or assistance. There are many organizations and individuals seeking to help the homeless or hope to reduce homelessness. Their philosophy level of professionalism, target group among the homeless and services can differ greatly. There is no official registration or quality framework, making it difficult to coordinate activities, find gaps and avoid duplication. NGO Hub has attempted to collate a list on their website. The majority provide some sort of food distribution with or without added services. Some of the larger established NGOs are Kachara Soup Kitchen, Pit Stop Community, Cafe, PERTIWI and Street Feeders of KL. It is found that majority of the homeless people in Kuala Lumpur were male, in their middle age, and more than half of them were still single. These findings were consistent with findings by Pusat Transit Jelandangan Kuala Lumpur, Mohamad et al., and Muhammad Syafiq and Doris. However, according to the Department of Social Welfare 2015 statistical report regarding homeless in Malaysia, 68.2% were female and majority of them were at 30 to 60 years old. However, in America, the homeless population were at a younger age of 18 to 40 years old. Similar findings were found by other studies in which more than half of the homeless were single. Marriage is not their priority as they can hardly afford to spend money even for themselves. This study also found that majority of homeless people managed to complete their Form 5 study only. Less than half of these homeless respondents were working, according to Mohamad et al. And Muhammad Syafiq and Doris. Not all homeless people was jobless. However, this study also found that their income was relatively very low, which made it difficult for them to rent even a room in Kuala Lumpur. From this study, half of the homeless respondents had low income, i.e., just below the Malaysia's average national poverty line household monthly income. In view of their low education level, it is also difficult for them to get a good job. As mentioned earlier, Shelton et al. Stated that their low education level was due to several risk factors such as being school dropout or having financial problems to pursue their study. Another possible reason on why they did not continue their study was because higher education level was expensive. According to Muhammad Abdul Khalid, the liberalization in terms of fees in public universities would have an impact towards the poor. This finding is supported by other study findings which stated that these homeless people earn a low-income job. They also hold small-scale jobs paid with a meager salary, for example picking up stuff such as cans or tins, arranging files, taking care of parking lots, helping friends in bundle shops, being a security guards, retail shop assistants, masseurs and sweepers. In fact, many studies including this study found that some of them were not paid for the job that they were hired for. According to Muhammad et al., there were some employers who take advantage against this group, by not paying them accordingly.
Research has shown that the main issue about addressing the homeless is due to disagreements about the definition of homelessness, thus making the subject matter complex and producing inaccurate statistics. The Women, Family and Community Development Ministry and welfare organization Desa Bina Diri categorize homeless as destitute, which, according to the Destitute Persons Act 1977, means any person found begging in public places in such a way as to cause or to likely cause annoyance to persons frequenting the place or otherwise create nuisance, or any idle person found in public places, whether or not he is begging, who has no visible means of subsistence or place of residence, or is unable to give a satisfactory account of himself. The old perceptions of homeless being drifters and troublemakers, or soup kitchens are encouraging people to remain homeless and jobless, should not be mainstream.
First is the suggestions to repeal the Destitute Persons Act 1977. In this report, it is clear that the Destitute Persons Act governs most of the government's existing homelessness strategy as it gives force to Ops Jelandangan and Ops Kase. Upon scrutinizing the processes involved in the rescue operations, allowed by the Destitute Persons Act, it is clear that the repeal of the Act is the only reasonable solution towards developing a more humanitarian approach to tackling homelessness. The Act violates various rights and freedoms guaranteed to all Malaysian citizens under the Federal Constitution. as well as to all persons regardless of citizenship under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It also worsens the situation of homeless persons financially, socially and physically. Through the DPA, the authorities demonstrate that the authorities have the power to trample on the rights of vulnerable individuals in order to save them for themselves. This sets a bad example to members of society and cultivates an us versus them mentality that may create a climate of anti-homelessness, possibly leading to hate crimes and other atrocities against homeless persons. In conclusion, factors such as jobless, having no shelter, the influence of drugs, family conflict, evicted from home and having no family members are the starting point of a person becoming homeless. If homeless problems are not addressed by the concerned parties, of course, it will complicate their situation and life. Based on researchers' observation, the homeless people must not be perceived as lazy, dangerous or even useless people. The homeless are also human beings like everyone else. What differentiates us with the homeless is the fate and problem that befallen them. Homeless people are also not lazy as touted by the public. There were some among the homeless who had skills such as cooking, sewing, carpentry and so on. They also had various background of education levels. Most of them had LCE, PMR and MCE, SPM level of education. So they were not the people who did not have knowledge. Due to the urbanization process that cannot be chased by some people, it has triggered such problems. In addition, less of job opportunities, high cost of living, expensive house rental and indifference action of stakeholders will further complicate the issue. Besides that, homeless people also need to be given some counseling sessions because most of them have different problems and they need to be helped by some individuals or agencies. Being ignored without getting any advice or support from the society had caused their condition to become more worse and they felt marginalized. Lastly, deep and comprehensive study needs to be done by concerned parties in drafting a plan of action to help the homeless people for a sustainable life and that will make them no longer marginalized in all aspects.